This is Josh for WashingtonHotlist.com. We've heard a lot of strange things coming out of the administration the past 6+ years, but I think one of the strangest things that I've ever heard is Dick Cheney's recent assertion that since he serves in a quasi-legislative role by acting as the president of the Senate, he is not really technically a part of the executive branch, and therefore he does not need to comply anymore with requests from other parts of the government to check his records, to see how he's storing them, to see, what's treated as classified. I mean, there's a reason we have these checks and balances in place. After Watergate, we passed a law that says that certain members of the executive branch are subject to scrutiny by the National Archives just to see how they're treating confidential information. And you think, well, that's a good response to a president that was a crook and that was almost impeached and had to resign his office out of pressure that was going to be impeached with a Democratic Congress. So the executive power was weakened, and this is basically a centuries-long thing where we've seen struggles between the executive branch and the legislative branch fight each other over their turf. Who's got a legislative authority over what? Who's got jurisdiction over what? And it's going to keep going on forever. But I've never heard this one before, that the vice president saying, well, technically he's not part of the executive branch, so he doesn't need to respond to those requests. Now, what makes that even more bizarre is that he actually did respond to those requests for the first 3 years he was in office and then stopped. So right away, right there, you're saying, well, I was just doing you guys a favor. No, what was that? Were you complying, or were you just going above and beyond what a legislative person should be doing? Who knows? Then, consider this. Cheney cited executive privilege several times when he wanted to withhold certain documents from the public. I mean, specifically when he was on this energy task force and he didn't want anybody to get transcripts of the meetings or anything that was written there. He said, well, I'm part of the executive branch. I claim executive privilege, which is also dubious, and they didn't have to release him, which was challenged in court and whatever. So sometimes he's in the executive branch, but I guess now he's not in the executive branch. And even more dubious than all of that is the fact that how many times has Cheney really gone to Congress? I mean, a handful of times. How many times was he a tiebreaker? I mean, you can recall any of those times? I can't recall any of those times. Very slim and narrow. So, Cheney, this is absolutely ridiculous. This is the furthest stretch of the imagination of your bad, interpretation of the Constitution ever. I mean, you want robust executive authority, a unitary executive. Well, apparently you're not a part of that unitary executive robust authority. Bullcrap. Should turn those documents over. There's a big problem with being so arrogant and so secretive about what's going on. And there's a reason why we had a Watergate and why we took those protections, and you should comply with them. Give me a break. This is Josh for WashingtonHotlist.com.